Hello everyone, welcome once again to another Let's Talk Criterion. Very happy to be here with all my subscribers once again. And this time round we'll be previewing the June titles on Blu-ray from Criterion in both the UK and the US. And as usual, as you can see just above my finger here, you have the UK and US flag on screen to indicate which country the titles are being released in. So off we go, and we do have a really interesting roster of releases for the month of June ahead of us, and we begin with a biggie, and I do mean a biggie. It is The Human Condition. It's a Japanese epic film trilogy made between 1959 and 1961 based on the 6-volume novel published by Junpei Gonikawa. It was directed by Masaki Kobayashi and it stars Tatsuya Nakadai. The trilogy follows the life of Kaji, a Japanese pacifist and socialist, as he tries to survive in the totalitarian and oppressive world of World War II era Japan. Altogether, the single film is 9 hours, 39 minutes, not including the intermissions, making it one of the longest narrative films ever made. The first film, No Greater Love, made in 1959, opens with Kaji marrying his sweetheart Michiko, despite his worries about the future. To gain exemption from military service, he moves his wife to a large mining operation in Japanese colonized Manchuria, where he serves as a labour chief assigned to a workforce of Chinese prisoners. In the second film, Road to Eternity, 1959, Kaji, having lost his exemption from military service by protecting Chinese prisoners from unjust punishment, has now been conscripted into the Japanese Kwangtung army. Under suspicion of leftist sympathies, Kaji is assigned to the toughest duties in his military recruiting class, despite his excellent marksmanship and strong barracks discipline. The final film in the trilogy is called A Soldier's Prayer. It's made in 1961. The Japanese forces have been shattered during the events of the second movie, and Kaji and some comrades attempt to elude capture by Soviet forces and find the remnants of the Kwangtung army in South Manchuria. Now, because of the length of features themselves, there are not many extras in this set. So, what do we have? An excerpt from 1993 Directors Guild of Japan interview with director Masaki Kobayashi, conducted by the filmmaker Masahiro Shinoda. An interview from 2009 with the actor Tatsuya Nakadai, an appreciation of Kobayashi and the Human Condition from 2009 featuring Shinoda, and a written essay by critic Philip Kemp. But the film's shine is a testament to the very best in Japanese cinema. The Human Condition is released on June the 8th in the US, only at this point, with a spine number of 480. Now, it was already available on DVD in the Criterion Collection, and there's also an alternative UK Blu-ray release of this from Arrow Video, so check that out at your local HMV or Amazon. Now, the next June release in the UK is in total contrast, and that's Dorothy Arzner's 1932 classic, Merrily We Go to Hell. Now, I looked at this in my May Criterion video, so check that out, and the link for that is below. Now, that's available in the UK collection from Monday, June the 14th, and its spine number is 1076. Now, also available from June 14th in the UK on Criterion is Flowers of Shanghai, directed by Hu Xiaoshen. Now, I covered this on my May Let's Talk Criterion video, and as you can see, here's a shot of the booklet you get with the disc, as well as the front and the rear cover. Now, the link for that again is the same link as Merrily We Go to Hell, and it's down below. In the US on the 15th of June, we have a double documentary feature being released, Streetwise Tiny, The Life of Erin Blackwell. Now, this is really interesting because the filmmaker Martin Bell was able to spotlight her life at age 14, an adolescent, and again in 2016 in her 40s when she had become a mother with her own family. The insight is piercing and the change in her attitudes between the two films is profound. Erin is one of a group of teenagers on the streets on the outskirts of Seattle, Washington, and the director turns his camera on their antics and inherent struggles. Erin quickly comes into central focus as the most interesting and animated and opinionated of the group. The director kept in touch with her and returned 30 years later to do a follow-up and spotlight her as a mother with 10 children. Yes, 10 children, you heard that right. She is a fascinating person and this documentary is a really interesting watch. Many viewers will identify with her. Streetwise Tiny, The Life of Erin Blackwell, is out on June the 15th. Now, it's definitely a documentary month for Criterion. We move on to another set, The Signifying Works of Marlon Riggs. Now, here in the UK, this black director is not particularly well known, but this set features a substantial selection of his short film works, highlighting the gay community and developing his own visual style, using poetry and music to present the issues surrounding gay freedom rights and AIDS in the US, and bringing this into sharper focus in the world cinema arena. There are 7 films in this set: Ethnic Notions from 1986, Tongues Untied from 1989, Affirmations 1990, Anthem 1991, Colour Adjustment 1992, Non Je regrette rien, No Regret 93, and Black Is, Black Ain't 1995. Now, this set incorporates a lot of his film work over his entire career, and I would single out Tongues Untied as controversy-inciting queer landmark from 1989, and Black Is, Black Ain't, the deeply personal swan song for him that was completed after his death at the very young age of 37. The Signifying Works of Marlon Riggs is out on June 22nd in the US and is spine number 1082. The Munich Olympics was somewhat overshadowed in the media by the terrorist attack on the Israeli team, taking the spotlight away from the actual sports events themselves. But Visions of 8 focuses on the sportsmanship and endeavour to physically push past boundaries to achieve new world records and competition against other athletes at the very top of their game. The short films comprised in the set are The Beginning by director Yuri Ozerov, The Strongest directed by Mai Zetterling, The Highest directed by Arthur Penn, The Woman, directed by Michael Flager, The Fastest, directed by Connie Chikawa, The Decathlon, directed by Milos Forman, The Losers, directed by Claude Lelouch, and The Longest, directed by John Schlesinger. The features are substantial and include a new audio commentary by podcasters Amanda Dobbins, Sean Fennessy, and Chris Ryan of the website The Ringer. A new documentary featuring director Claude Lelouch, supervising editor Robert K. Lambert, Ousmane Sembene, and biographer Samba Gadjijo. Munich Olympic Games historian David Clay Large, producer David L. Wolper's son Mark Wolper, and director Arthur Penn's son, Matthew Penn, which also includes outtakes from the film and material from Sembene's uncompleted short film. A short promotional film shot on location in 1972, plus a 1973 article by author George Plimpton with excerpts from David L. Wolper's 2003 memoir, and a new reflection on the film by the novelist Sam Lipsyte. As I said, if you have 100 years of Olympic film, you'll have this already, but if not, it will be available from June the 22nd as spine number 1081. Now, going more contemporary now and away from documentaries, we have Pariah. Now, this is an assured feature debut by Dee Rees, the all too rare coming-of-age tale to honestly represent the experiences of queer black women. Grounded in the finely grained characterizations of Rees' script and built around a beautifully layered performance from Adepero Odiye, Pariah follows Brooklyn teenager Alike, who is navigating the emotional minefields of first love and heartache and the disapproval of her family as she expresses her gender and sexual identities within a system that does not make space for them. Spike Lee is one of the executive producers, and filming took place in and around New York City, predominantly in the Fort Greene neighbourhood of Brooklyn. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2011 and won the Excellence in Cinematography Award, just one of the many others it got that year. Extras include new conversation between director Dee Rees and filmmaker and Professor Michelle Parkerson, a new cast reunion featuring Rees and actors Adepero Odoye, Anne Purnell Walker, Kim Wayans, Charles Parnell and Asha Davis, moderated by the film scholar Jacqueline Stewart. A new programme on the making of the film, with cinematographer Bradford Young, Rees, production designer Inbal Weinberg, and producer Nikisa Cooper, and editor Mako Kamitsuna, moderated by Stewart. And a new interview with film scholar Cara Keeling, the author of Queer Times Black Futures. Pariah is hailed as a major contemporary film work in LBQT plus cinema of its time in the US, and I'm still not completely sure why we have that release delay between the UK and the US, so hopefully that will change in time. Pariah is spine number 1083. It will be released in the UK from Monday, July 12th and Tuesday the 29th in the US. we have Pickup on South Street, one of my personal favourites. It's a 1953 Cold War spy film noir written and directed by Samuel Fuller, and it was released by 20th Century Fox. The film stars Richard Widmark, Jean Peters and Thelma Ritter. It was screened at the Venice Film Festival in 1953. In 2018, Pickup on South Street was selected for preservation in the US National Film Registry as being culturally, historically or aesthetically significant. Petty Crook, Skip McCoy, played by Richard Widmark, has his eyes fixed on the big score. When the cocky three-time convict picks the pocketbook of unsuspecting Candy, played by Jean Peters, he finds a more spectacular haul than he could have imagined. Tealed by manipulative feds and the unwitting courier's communist puppeteers, Skip and Candy find themselves in a precarious gambit that pits greed against redemption, right against red, and passion against self-preservation. Now, we have other Blu-ray Samuel Fuller titles in the Criterion collection, and that includes The Naked Kiss, that's Spine 18, and Shock Corridor, Spine 19. And there are three other titles, The Steel Helmet, I Shot Jesse James, and The Baron of Arizona, and they make up the first films of Samuel Fuller, but that's an Eclipse DVD set only, which is out of print. So extras on this grid release include a new interview with critic Imogen Sarah Smith, the author of In Lonely Places, film noir Beyond the City, that's on the Blu-ray edition only. Interview from 1989 with director Samuel Fuller, conducted by the film critic Richard Schickel. Cinemas, Fuller, a 1982 French TV programme in which the director discusses the making of the film. And a written essay by author and critic Luc Sant and filmmaker Martin Scorsese. And for the Blu-ray edition only, a chapter from Fuller's posthumously published 2002 autobiography, A Third Face, My Tale of Writing, Fighting and Filmmaking. Certainly one I'll be adding to my collection. That is Pickup on South Street, and that's going to be spine number 224 because it's already been out on the Criterion collection as a DVD. Finally out in June in the UK is Night of the Hunter, starring Robert Mitchum. Now, many say this is one of his best ever performances. It was re-released in 2010 on Blu-ray in the US Criterion collection with spine number 451. The unique thing about this film is that it's the only feature that Charles Laughton ever directed. The screenplay is by James Agee and was based on a 1953 novel of the same title by Davis Grubb. The plot focuses on a corrupt minister turned serial killer who attempts to charm an unsuspecting widow and steal $10,000 hidden by her executed husband. The novel and film draw on the true story of Harry Powers, who was hanged in 1932 for the murder of 2 widows and 3 children in Clarksburg, West Virginia. The film's lyrical and expressionistic style, with its leaning on the silent era, sets it apart from other Hollywood films of the 1940s and 1950s, and it's influenced later directors such as Rainer Werner Fassbinder and Robert Altman. The supporting cast consists of Shelley Winters, Billy Chapin, Sally Jane Bruce, Lillian Gish and James Gleason, among others. The features on the disc are absolutely packed. We have an audio commentary featuring second unit director Terry Sanders, film critic FX Feeney, archivist Robert Gitt and author Preston Neil Jones. Charles Laughton directs The Night of the Hunter, a 2.5-hour treasure trove of outtakes and behind the scenes footage. A new documentary feature with interviews with producer Paul Gregory, Sanders, Feeney, Jones and the author Jeffrey Couchman. And there's a new video interview with Laughton biographer Simon Callow, of course, himself a famous actor. Clip from The Ed Sullivan Show, in which cast members perform a scene deleted from the film. A 15-minute episode of the BBC show Moving Pictures about the film itself. Archival interview with cinematographer Stanley Cortez. A gallery of sketches by the author Davis Grubb, the author of the source novel, and a new video conversation between Gitt and film critic Leonard Moulton about Charles Laughton Directs. Well, I definitely have this one on my shopping list. So there we have it. That's all the June releases and quite a bag to choose from. In the next edition, we'll be bringing up Baby with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn, looking through mirrors with Andrei Tarkovsky, as well as my own top 5 criterions to see. So hopefully there'll be something there for you to look out for. So until next time, as ever, stay safe. And certainly a lot of people certainly are now. And above all, keep watching those movies.